Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Guys, we're going to be seeing a video today, all right, and this is titled Kaliningrad, the most feared exclave in Europe. Okay, this is the first time I'm getting to hear this name, Kaliningrad. All right, so if you're excited to see this one, please subscribe. If you find this video interesting, do also like, share, and subscribe. All right, so guys, let's jump in.
Kaliningrad, a name that evokes strategic tension and a complex history. This region, a tiny exclave of Russia sandwiched between Poland and Lithuania, holds a disproportionate significance in the geopolitical landscape of Europe. It is an outpost with a dramatic past. I am standing here in Kaliningrad.
Okay.
It is a city with a long history. Nowadays, it is a Russian city,
Wow.
but it is completely separated from the rest of the country. It is also a city that has changed identities a lot in the past. It used to be the German city of
Wow.
Königsberg, a city with a lot of history, military might, and philosophy. But then one of the most devastating wars of our times has happened. After that war, the city of Königsberg has changed its name into Kaliningrad, and it became first a Soviet and nowadays a Russian outpost. We are going to explore the history of Kaliningrad and why this unique location that is surrounded by European countries is part of Russia. Let's dive into the history of Kaliningrad. To fully understand the history of Königsberg and Kaliningrad nowadays, we have to go back more than 800 years to understand how the city was formed and the importance of the city and specifically its location. We are currently at a place that used to be the castle of Königsberg. The castle itself got destroyed in World War II, and later on in the 60s, the ruins have been taken away, which was the decision of the Soviet leader Khrushchev. And nowadays, well, you can only see this rather ugly parking here. But anyway, this is a very historical place until today. The Königsberg Castle, that used to be right here, has been built by Teutonic Knights. These knights came from Germany, and they came here to conquer and Christianize the people of the Eastern Prussian region. They founded the city of Königsberg, and the castle that used to stand here became the heart of the city. The Teutonic Knights encouraged German people to settle down here, and by the 16th century, German was the main language spoken here in Königsberg. Even when the state of the Teutonic Order eventually faded, Königsberg remained its German character. It became an administrative and intellectual center, and it is the city that produced one of the most famous philosophers, which is Immanuel Kant, who was born right here in Kaliningrad, back then still known as Königsberg, in 1724. Kaliningrad's strategic
This is pure
location
history
meant it
class.
was heavily fortified over the centuries. Its military importance was underscored during World War I, when East Prussia became a major battle zone. The invading Russia came very close, but the Germans held line. However, by the end of World War I, the map changed dramatically. Germany has lost territories, and Prussia, as well as Kaliningrad, became separated from the rest of the country due to the newly restored Poland and the Polish Canal. It was the very first time when Kaliningrad became an enclave that was far away from its home country. And then came World War II. Germany invaded Poland, and with that, the corridor was eliminated. Hitler himself spent a lot of time here in this area at his headquarters, planning important operations such as the Operation Barbarossa. The beginning of the end for Königsberg came in August 1944. There were 2 nights of heavy British bombardments that destroyed 50% of the city. The destruction was immense. A lot of people lost their homes and lives. With that, the Soviet invasion became unavoidable. The Germans defended the city fanatically, but the odds were not in their favor. There were more than 250,000 Soviet soldiers that surrounded the city by January 1945. They were facing a much smaller German force. And despite a desperate fight, after a 3-month siege, the Germans.
Oh, wow, so the Kaliningrad is reparation of war, am I correct? Like, wow, this is actually the first time I'm getting to hear this history. This is obviously a history class in this video, right? This is my first time getting to hear this, all right? And I am glad I actually found this video to like educate me more about this place, because this is the first time I'm getting to hear the name Kaliningrad. Interesting.
Lost Kaliningrad. The human cost was horrific. Of the 150,000 to 200,000 German civilians, mostly women, children, and the elderly, most of them died either during the siege or from the harsh conditions afterwards. The Soviet soldiers that have witnessed the destruction of their own country showed no mercy. The Allies started to discuss what was going to happen to East Prussia. While Churchill suggested to give most of it to Poland, Stalin demanded a part of it, especially Königsberg, because the Soviet Union was in need of a Baltic seaport that was ice-free all year round. Provisionally, the most northern part, including Königsberg, was given to the Soviet Union after the negotiations. Post-war, Kaliningrad was almost completely destroyed. There was no infrastructure, no bridges,
Wow.
no railways, no traffic, nothing was left or intact anymore.
Wow. That's from the footages of the wall. That's really a lot of destruction. And getting to see the city has been razed, has been cleaned up, has been rebuilt. Wow. And it doesn't even look like a place that actually suffered a lot. Wow.
Because of that, there was no intent to rebuild the city. Initially, there was simply no budget for that. The conditions were apocalyptic. There were extremely high death rates among the Germans that were left here in the city. In 1946, Königsberg was officially renamed Kaliningrad after a Soviet official, Mikhail Kalinin. He actually had no real connection to the city, but however, the city was named after him. After a while, the city was meant to be repopulated with people from the Soviet Union. They were promised incentives, but often found nothing else but ruins. Life here in Kaliningrad was extremely difficult and often even worse than from where they have come from. At the beginning, the Soviet Union seemed to intend to incorporate the remaining German population. However, the Germans that were left here were facing discrimination such as lower payments. Reports of terrible conditions emerged, and that damaged the international reputation of the Soviet Union. And this led to Moscow publishing a law that was meant to expulse the Germans that remained here in Kaliningrad. In between 1947 and 1948, the expulsion was part of the largest human population transfers of human history. After that, the Soviet government also actively removed all German influences from the city of Kaliningrad. The ruins that remained of the castle were completely removed at that time, as mentioned before, as well as streets that have been renamed. Kaliningrad was meant to be completely transformed into a Soviet symbol, a symbol of socialism and a modern and attractive city. However, the reconstruction of Kaliningrad was slow, and for a very long time it didn't resemble a real city center. During the Cold War, Kaliningrad became mostly a closed city for security reasons. Its strategic location made it an important military place, and it became the home of the Baltic Fleet. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, and suddenly Kaliningrad was surrounded by independent countries such as Lithuania, Poland, the reunified Germany. And the situation became even worse once Poland and Lithuania joined the NATO and the European Union in 2004. From now on, all transit that wanted to pass from Russia to Kaliningrad had to pass through European countries or NATO territory. Russia wanted to try to transform Kaliningrad into a somehow Russian Hong Kong. However, the attempts failed due to Russia's own political situations and the economical problems. In the 2000s and 2010s, the situation got a little bit better, and from that moment on, Russia attempted to avoid Western influences and information. And this brings us to today, and why Kaliningrad is often mentioned in the news, especially when it comes to tensions in between Russia and the West. Kaliningrad is located in between NATO countries, and it is also home of various missiles that have a range that put major European capitals such as Warsaw or even Berlin at risk. It is also being said that here in Kaliningrad there are nuclear weapons. However, Russia has never admitted that, but also it has never denied that. With Sweden and Finland becoming NATO members as well, the Baltic Sea has become Lake NATO. It makes Kaliningrad more valuable, but perhaps also even more important for Russia to keep foothold here. So what's it like for the nearly 1 million people that live in Kaliningrad today? Living here means being at the center of significant geopolitical tensions. Kaliningrad sits kind of in a gray zone of escalating tensions in between Russia and the European Union. Understanding places like Kaliningrad is crucial to understanding the wider world and the tensions that shape it. Learning more about Kaliningrad reminds us that even small places such as Kaliningrad can have a huge geopolitical weight. I hope you enjoyed this tour through Kaliningrad, and I hope you learned something about it, and I hope you can now better understand how incredibly intertwined politics, geography, and history actually are.
Wow, look at how beautiful the city is right now. Look at how beautiful Kaliningrad is right now. You will never imagine that this is actually a place that's went through a lot. Okay, it's really beautiful. All right, and I really would love to like see how people there are living. Like, I really would love to see more about this place, the people, how they are living, and all of that. Okay, so this is really a great video. It is like the evolution of Kaliningrad. All right, this is pure history class in this video. All right, shout out to the owner of this channel, Alina. She actually did a great job telling us more about Kaliningrad, because I know lots of us do not know anything about Kaliningrad. All right, so let us know in the comment section if you're in Russia, if you're in Germany. Let us know more about this. Okay, I really would love to read from different points of view. All right, thank you for watching, and thank you for recommending. See you guys on my next one. Bye.